Imagine this scene. It's London in the late 60s, a concert hall filled with screaming teenagers. On the concert stage, a bright red curtain. Behind there, a band is about to appear. But at the front, a gentleman dressed in a nice blue suit says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about to happen! Let's welcome the Rolling Stones!" And Charlie Watts hits the drums. Mick Jagger comes out to "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." Hello, Toastmasters, guests. I want to inspire you to learn to begin your speech properly, with excitement. I've got a little handout for you. There's a lot of paper in your chair. Go ahead and check it out in case you want to make notes. Toastmasters recommends that we have goals for our introduction. That they also have suggested ways to start the speech, 3 ways you can mess up your speech, and 3 tips for beginning your speech. What are the goals for beginning your speech? Number 1, get audience attention. Let's think about PSST audience here tonight. Number 1, they had a tough time at work. They're thinking about things that happen at work. They might have had some crazy drivers on the way here, and then there's that cute thing next to them. They're thinking about that. Are they thinking about my speech? No, you need to get their attention. That's the number 1 goal of the introduction. Get their attention. Number 2, establish the theme and give a roadmap. Give us a table of contents if it's necessary. If you're going to have some suspenseful speech, you may not give the roadmap until the answer at the end, but many times a roadmap is helpful. And finally, establish rapport with the audience. How do you establish rapport with the audience? Make eye contact. Smile. Get that little connection, that feedback. When you see the eye contact, okay, look at somebody else. Now you've got the goals of the introduction. Now let's talk about ways that Toastmasters suggest that you can start your speech. Number 1, state the importance of the topic. Here's a sample of doing that. A golden tan, a California tan, fellow Toastmasters, looks great. It may indicate your skin is manufacturing vitamin D, but a golden tan can cause premature aging and skin cancer. That's a way to make a importance of the topic introduction. Number 2, make a startling statement. More Americans die of smoke inhalation each year than died in World War II and Vietnam combined. A startling statement type. Number 3, arouse suspense. I don't care if my owner leaves me alone all day. As long as she leaves food and water, I don't care. I have my little tail up in the air, and I pounce on imaginary animals. I take little naps. I take graceful steps. If you guess that I'm a cat, you're right. That's an example of using suspense for your introduction. Get the audience attention. Number 3, the rhetorical question. In your introduction, you could ask a question like this for a rhetorical question. What would you do if you were in a restaurant, sitting a group of people, and all of a sudden somebody starts to choke? Would you know what to do? Would you know the first aid technique? It's a way to use a rhetorical question to begin your speech. Refer to the occasion. I'm skipping here, but let's think about this school, this church, this sanctuary when it was built. Let's think about what the speech would have been like if somebody did give a speech when they built it. 4 years ago, we were meeting, Emerson was meeting at the YMCA. We had a small room. We had a cramped parking lot. And people were saying we couldn't raise the money. People said it couldn't be done. But here we are today, 4 years later, in this beautiful building, great parking lot, and nice sanctuary. Okay, let's get back here. Use a quotation. Where do you get quotations? I think everybody today, unless they're a big reader of history like I am, gets it from the internet. But I read this quotation about George S. Patton. Before he led his invasion of the U.S. Army into France and into Germany, he made a speech before his troops. I love this quotation. He said, "Men, I've been hearing a lot of talk about dying for your country. I'm tired of hearing about this talk of dying for your country. Think about making the other guy die for his country. Use of humor. That's obvious. Make a demonstration. One of the best demonstration intros I ever saw occurred out at the Reliant Center car show. There was a man out there with this car, beautiful red car, and he was selling car wax. He polished that car with the beautiful wax, made a beautiful wax job, and then poured lighter fluid all over it, flicked the match, and poof, the people around kind of jumped back. There was heat emanating from that thing. He said, look here, the paint is not harm. Eventually the flames died down. Think, it's going to protect your car from the harmful UV rays, from the fallout. It can even protect your car from flames. A great demo introduction. Audience participation. Now here's the cheapest trick I ever saw, and I use it constantly. Show of hands, how many got here by a carbon-emitting vehicle tonight? All right. Refer to a historical event. This is the sad one. I think of 911. If you were giving a speech about 911, you'd refer back to that. Now here's some introduction killers. You don't want to do these things. So I'm really hesitant to tell you about them, but number one, acknowledge lack of preparation. Well, I didn't really have time to prepare tonight. I didn't really study. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're probably going to give a decent speech. You're really killing yourself by shooting yourself first, so don't do that. Don't be dull and boring. And delaying mention of the theme. One of my favorite relatives loved to tell stories, but he would always preface it with this long drawn-out preface that had nothing to do with the thing. And I hated that. I was almost like, well, leave the room because I knew he was going to do it. Don't delay mention of the theme. Okay, 3 final tips for your introduction. Use less than 10% of your speaking time for the introduction. It's got to be quick and sweet. For example, 5 to 7 minute speech, 10% of the time would be 20 to 30 seconds. That's it. You want to get their attention, give them the roadmap, establish theme, establish rapport, you're out of there. You go into the rest of your speech. Memorize it. If you don't memorize anything else, you've got cheat sheets. Be sure that you have at least the introduction memorized so you can make that eye contact, so you can really get going on a good pace. And finally, begin the introduction at the end. What does that mean, begin the introduction at the end? It means write the body of your speech first. When you develop the theme, you develop your points, then go back and develop. Say, okay, I got a theme, I got these points of the things that finally came up when I was writing my speech. Use one of these 11 techniques, and you'll be set to go. You'll have an exemplary speech. You'll have a speech like introducing a rock star, Madam Toastmaster.